Good morning, everyone. How are you? Good? Great. Sounds okay. Well, thank you so much. I'm incredibly excited to be here today. And Erin, thank you for the gracious introduction. Before I dive into today's topic, do you mind if I just give that little pitch? Otherwise, my marketing team will absolutely kill me. By a show of hands, who has set up an entity cross-border or in another US state? All right. Who liked it? No one. I was going to say I know a good therapist, but given that no one raised their hand, I will leave it at that. So Velocity Global is an international employer of record providing a human capital management platform that allows you to access our entity ecosystem in over 185 countries, including the US. Why? This allows you to compliantly hire, pay, and manage talent without you actually having to set up the full infrastructure to do so. And it gives you access to over 200 internal staff of legal, HR, payroll, immigration, benefits to act as an extension of your HR team, whether again cross-border within the US or across the globe. Please visit our table. Ken, who is going to get me in trouble, our lovely marketing team member is there, as well as one of our amazing sales reps, Michael Holcomb, who I've had the pleasure to work with over nearly a decade. Thank you for letting me do my spiel. We'll move on now. So what I want to talk about today is, it's a topic I'm particularly passionate about. What if I told you that your company already has a massive untapped sales force? And I'm not talking about just your sales team. I'm actually talking about your entire organization. And what I want to ground us in, and what I firmly believe, is that we are all in sales every single day. Anytime we are outside and someone asks, or my favorite, when someone asks my husband what I do for work, we are all in sales. To set the tone, though, as I am a sales leader now, I do want to just explain what I did before I joined our sales organization. I've been with Velocity Global for nearly a decade, since the inception of the industry. And prior to coming over to sales, I actually executed against our global HR solution. I led our customer experience teams, our supplemental benefit, immigration, merger and acquisition, transition support team. I set up and executed our international recruiting program, where I actually recruited global talent for our customers. I was the person that when sales teams sold things that we didn't have and timelines that we couldn't execute, I was the customer experience outsourced solution leader saying, absolutely not, what are you doing? Go away. I was exhausted. My teams were exhausted. They were the boots on the ground in global marketplaces. You know, when the Egyptian pound bottomed out in 2016, we had a supported employee who literally went from having a great job and great salary who couldn't buy milk for his family. When the coup happened in Turkey, we had to get our international staff out of Turkey on our customers' behalf. All of these things, when salespeople did these things, like promise technology or solutions that we didn't have, it was absolutely crippling for our team. And so I think it's important to just ground all of us in that, because I know firsthand the impact of not having a relationship with sales and not having trust with sales can drive. So what I really want to ground us in is that igniting and aligning our organization to all own revenue puts the customer back at the center of what we do. It drives mutual empathy, fosters trust, it creates innovation, and at the end of the day, it ultimately drives retention. Both of our top salespeople, as well as our back of house support and our internal teams. Remember, account executives are people too, and I forgot this for a long time. Building a culture that wraps around the front lines is incredibly important, and when we remember and we reposition, sales professionals get told on average no 75% of their day. It is a tough job, and they are the first ones to get prospect and customer feedback that they can bring back into the business. But we have to make sure that our cross-functional team members are there and aligned to support that innovation and put the customer back at the center of what we do. So why should you care about this, and why am I so passionate about this? Research shows that companies that drive culture of revenue awareness actually significantly enhance organizational performance and decision making. Gartner research has found a 15% increase in sales productivity in companies with strong revenue awareness. Harvard Business Review has found that companies that foster revenue awareness see a 25% improvement in cross-departmental collaboration, ultimately resulting in more revenue growth. McKinsey & Company has found that firms with revenue-focused cultures achieve 20% higher profit margins compared to peers. And Salesforce has found that companies with revenue awareness report higher employee engagement, leading to upwards of a 30% reduction in turnover. I don't know about you all, but the last time I was certainly supporting outsourced HR, employee retention and/or turnover is one of the most expensive problems organizations can face. So how can HR help? Well, let's start with the simple truth and the reality of the dynamic of what our workforce is going through. Sales teams no longer have the same camaraderie that they once had. This creates lower resilience. Why? Well, one, even when we think about cross-functional team engagement, the amount of people actually having coffee together and talking about their day-to-day is significantly lower as we've transitioned to more hybrid and remote workforces. We actually have a gong in our headquarters, but no one's there to ring it, right? So this concept of like cold calling, people getting told no, celebrating wins, celebrating losses, and there being a cohesive celebration with a ring the bell, that infrastructure is gone for the sales team, right? The pressure to perform sales is higher than ever before, so burnout is a real risk. Isolation is a real challenge, including isolation from our customer. And this is not just from the sales organization, but all up and down when we think about R&D and product, our customer support teams, our internal HR teams, our legal teams. We've got to bring the customer back front and center. So when we think about how do we enable our sales teams to succeed, how do we put the customer back at the center, I am the proponent that creating a culture of revenue awareness actually is your fastest path to creating a psychologically safe environment where we all share in our growth, we all share in a common goal, and we all build mutual empathy across the organization. By a show of hands, how many of you have recently connected with any of your sales partners? Okay, a couple. How many of you have recently sat on a sales call? Oh, that actually was higher. How many of you have listened to a sales call or a sales loss? All right, so we've got about a quarter of the room, which I'm super excited about. The key to transforming your workforce into a sales-driven machine is not about turning engineers into cold callers or HR into closers, albeit I believe HR is probably the strongest closing team in the org. It's about creating revenue awareness that puts the customer and their pain at the center of everything. While most organizations limit sales to sales and marketing, this is absolutely a missed opportunity, because when we engage the workforce to drive business, we change the tone and we generate an audible-ready culture that creates cross-functional empathy. I know this matters because, as I mentioned, I was that product leader that kept telling my sales team no. Okay, so I have 7 ideas that I've put together. Some of these I've actually fully implemented within our organization, somewhere in the process. So this is meant to be more of a brainstorm around really where I think we can change and transform organizations. First and foremost is creating an audible-ready workforce. This starts with empowering employees with sales intelligence. From day one, all team members need to understand solutions. This is a given when we onboard new employees in our new hire programs. What's not a given is actually applying it to the customer pain and how we solve it. and actually certifying team members on an elevator pitch. Does anyone have elevator pitches certified? Or in their new hire onboarding program? Oh, we've got one. That's amazing. Everyone needs to have visibility into how their work impacts revenue. It is not necessarily obvious. It is not necessarily obvious. And it's so important that people have a direct tie of how the state of the business is moving, how they help solve customer pain. We need to simply train to identify opportunities that can turn into everyday conversations that lead to business growth. How to identify pain. Quarterly brown bag lunches that teach employees and give employees across the company the opportunity to learn about new use cases, customer stories, how their work, regardless of their department, has directly impacted and had a positive impact for a customer. Don't let your team members forget how their job every day impacts customers. That's the whole point of why we're here. Forrester has found that when workplaces have a common vocabulary rooted in customer value, and they empower teams with that, they are 2.4 times more likely to, they generate 2.4 times more revenue, and they have 2 times higher growth profitability than those without that alignment. Just by having shared vocabulary, just by having that customer understanding. Number 2, teach them to sell without selling. Nobody likes to be sold. I definitely don't like to be sold. Poor SDRs and business development reps that send me emails. I mean, I am like a stone wall. You cannot break me. I'm out for you. But the best people don't sound like salespeople. They sound like storytellers and problem solvers. They ask good questions and they actively listen. It's not about pitching. It's about understanding customer pain. Our cross-functional team members have industry connections, past colleagues, personal networks, and I promise you that the best lead and the most authentic intro is from a non-salesperson who has the same pain that their friend, colleague, or industry partner has. If we don't arm them with the understanding and the language and the ability to ask simple questions, we remove their ability to identify opportunities to bring back into the business. We need to train not just our salespeople, but our workforce to put the customer pain at the center of their day. This is a full mindset shift. When we all own revenue, it means we are constantly thinking about how our solutions and products can help someone else. Everyone wants to help someone in their network, right? Who was recently on LinkedIn? Everyone wants to help someone in their network. Number 3, design cross-functional KPIs and incentives. I am fanatical about this. I am that leader that walks around to as many cross-functional departments to identify how can I literally tie my team to your team's success. Why? Because when we have mutually aligned goals, we are all working towards the same vision. Aligning teams towards this vision with clear KPIs drives a mutualistic organization, and it also means that we share in both the wins and the losses of our sales team. So a few ways to do this. Recognition and awards for employees servicing leads. Assessing deal cycles. Making strategic connections. We've actually recently fully implemented that our R&D and products teams have full revenue growth where they are actually directly tied to engaging with our sales teams to identify ways to not only make their lives more efficient, but how to identify pain within the customer sales process. It's everyone's opportunity to solve customer pain, but we need to make sure that people get recognized for it, right? Let's celebrate that people are engaged within the process. Number 4, shared experiences create empathy and better solutions. Salespeople are on the front lines. Customers are the first and prospects to give them feedback on why your product and solution set is amazing or lacking. Our engineering teams can sometimes get lost in the code. Our support, customer success, HR teams, we can sometimes get lost in the latest fire drill, right? By creating cross-functional shadowing for a day, we build empathy. We have to show our team members what one another's day looks like to create trust. SHRM actually conducted a survey back in 2021 that found that 89% of organizations that offered some form of job shadowing programs reported improved employee experience. Why? Well, because developing cross-functional empathy shows you what the other person has to go through, right? It creates trust. It builds relationships. It pulls the cloak away from the mystery of another person's role. I've done a lot of jobs. I have not done finance, and I have not been in engineering. They don't want me there, trust me. But how can I have empathy if I don't sit with them and understand what their day-to-day looks like, what challenges they overcome? When my sales solutions team has to demo a product, if there's a bug in that demo, does engineering care about it if they don't understand what the customer experience or what that sales engineer experiences? We can't sell a product if there's a bug. And so creating that mutual empathy for one another. This also ensures that when sales reps bring back feedback around innovation or they make requests to sell something slightly out of scope or at a faster cadence, there's trust and understanding from that sales team member that they understand what their counterparts are going through in order to create product or service or solutions. And so creating that reciprocal relationship through job shadowing is a huge opportunity. Number 5. Create a loss library and share it cross-functionally so all departments can brainstorm how to overcome. It's important to celebrate wins. It's incredibly, if not more important, to celebrate losses and to learn and use those as cross-functional opportunities to bring the company together to innovate. Building a shared resource where salespeople can document and analyze lost deals, not to finger point, but to bring innovation forward. And again, tying those KPIs back. Number 6, leverage cross-functional department competitions. This one's really funny. I think sales and marketing are always competing. Ken will let you know the last time that I just beat him at one of these. So not only just pitting sales against marketing, but also product and low-stake competitions. Whether it's who can create the most creative pitch, or generate the most leads, it builds camaraderie across departments. It allows folks that are working with your customers and support or working in your area of expertise like HR and HR technology in our case, it brings the experts forward in the business to give sales more ideas. Marketing thinks that they have all the creative ideas. Sales will tell you that they don't. And if you've ever seen Ratatouille, anyone can cook. And last but not least, empower sales to decline the wrong clients. This is important for a couple reasons. Not every customer is a good fit. I've firsthand experienced that when I ran our customer org. We actually empower our salespeople to walk away from bad deals. And why? One, because chasing the wrong clients is a waste of time and it doesn't end well for anyone. But 2, because it drains energy and it leads to frustration for all of the support and product teams who are now having to adjust for the wrong type of customer. When sales teams have the autonomy to walk away, they focus on higher quality leads, they feel more respected, and they feel more engaged. And when their cross-functional colleagues believe that they have an understanding of their role and they trust them, it builds a cycle of trust and innovation inside. So in closing, Forrester notes again that cross-functional teams that are aligned around a shared vision and goal drive innovation faster. When we empower our holistic team to be Audible ready, not just our sales team, we actually align the company with revenue as the backbone and growth as the backbone. This drives accelerated growth and scalability. Imagine the power of a company where everyone plays a role in revenue generation, where we're able to create mutualistic relationships and foster empathy and trust internally, and ultimately bring the customer back to the center of everything that we do, with everyone working to solve the customer's pain. The result is faster growth, more deals, a competitive edge, with R&D, support, HR, the entire organization consistently attuned to what the customer needs, and a wholly supported, passionate sales organization to carry the bag. And with that, I have to go back to my marketing team. Please scan our QR code. We're here, we're heading into a break. We would love to chat with you all. Thank you so much for the time. Velocity Global, again, we operate in 185 markets. Ken, Michael, and I are here to chat and appreciate the time. Thank you.